Most people think that waiting for interest rates to drop is the safe move. But in 3 specific Coachella Valley cities right now, buyers who waited this past year missed out on equity gains, while prices climbed anywhere from 2 to 14%. So if you're still on the sidelines, the cautious move might actually be the most expensive decision that you've made this decade. California just hit a statewide median price record, but if you apply that logic to Palm Springs, you're going to misread our market badly. As of May 2026, 9 different cities are moving in 9 different directions, and the gap between the hottest and the coldest markets in the Coachella Valley, well, it's wider than most people realize. I pulled the latest MLS data and ranked all 9 cities on a market heat scale, from the spots still running hot to the cities where sellers are already cutting deals. We're covering price trends, days on market, discount rates, and supply levels. Starting with the city that everyone asks about first, Palm Springs. Hi, Neil here with your Palm Springs real estate update for June 2026. Right now, the average price for a single-family home in Palm Springs sits at $1,164,827. That's about a 2,100 square foot home at $530 a square foot. The price dropped 7.6% since this time last year, which does sound alarming until you remember that Palm Springs peaked at over $1.4 million during the pandemic in 2022. This is the market that's catching its breath. Sellers are accepting about a 3% discounts, and homes are waiting for about 43 days, so well-priced properties are still finding buyers. With 746 homes available, there's about 4 or 5 months of supply, putting Palm Springs in a neutral zone that's great for negotiating if you know which streets have wiggle room. Most people assume that Palm Springs is the hottest spot in the desert, but it actually has the most price correction locally right now. Other nearby cities are holding value much better. If you want to know what's happening in a specific neighborhood like the Movie Colony or Vista Las Palmas, text me at the number in the description below. Palm Springs isn't the only story. Here's how the rest of the Coachella Valley stacks up. The hottest market right now is the one you'd least expect, Coachella, the city, at the far east end of the Coachella Valley. It saw single-family homes prices jump up 14.2% over the last year. The average home costs $504,484 at about $296 per square foot, with only 3.5 months of supply. And homes are going quickly. They sell in about 24 days. It might not be the second home destination that most of you are looking for, but it does tell a clear story about how entry-level demand is squeezing buyers out of the west end and pushing them further east. Rancho Mirage is holding its own with prices down only 2.6%, the best price retention anywhere outside of Coachella. The average single-family home sits at $1,355,668, and while it takes about 49 days to sell, 4.2 months of supply shows a market that isn't very flooded. For a luxury buyer who wants a resort lifestyle, Rancho Mirage is outperforming Palm Springs despite a higher price tag, with the Disney Cotino bringing fresh demand and structural support to values. Cathedral City is close behind with a 2.8% dip and an average price of $558,358. Buyers who want to be 10 minutes from downtown Palm Springs without the premium price tag are clearly making their move. Homes are selling in just 38 days, the second fastest in the Coachella Valley, and the speed says that people are recognizing the value and acting. Palm Desert rounds out this growing group with a 2.9% decrease, but it leads the valley in total sales with 178 units per month. The average price is $711,207 at $323 per square foot, with 5 months of supply, and that makes it a balanced buyer's environment. It's the most liquid city in the Coachella Valley, and that matters because every buyer eventually becomes a seller. If any of this data is hitting close to home, the easiest next step is just a 15-minute Zoom call. No pressure, no pitch, just a real conversation about what's happening in these cities and how it might line up with what you're trying to do. You can find my number in the link below. Now, let's take a look at the market heat rankings. This is the part of the list where it starts to feel like the leverage is finally shifting back into your hands as a buyer. La Quinta has seen price drops of 3.5%, bringing the average single-family home to $878,752 at just under $400 per square foot. With 4.7 months of inventory and homes sitting about 49 days, buyers are successfully shaving about 3.3% off the asking price. If your plan involves a golf course and a community where you actually want to spend your winters, La Quinta is giving you real room to breathe without being a market in distress. Bermuda Dunes is a quieter pocket that you should also be watching. The average price is $618,000, and while there are only 3.8 months of supply, sellers here are cutting the deepest discounts across the desert at 5.2% below list price. Motivated sellers plus low inventory at a price between Cathedral City and Palm Desert is a rare combination. Indio is seeing the biggest correction that we track, with prices down 5.3% year over year and an average of $618,386 for a home. Homes are sitting for 59 days, which is the longest stretch on the market here locally, and sellers now are becoming flexible. When you see long days on the market paired with consistent price drops, you're usually dealing with a seller who has already moved on mentally. And then that changes the entire conversation when you make your offer. Desert Hot Springs is the final stop and needs a bit of context. Single-family homes are down 3.1% with an average price of $395,534. It's the most affordable standalone house in the desert with 5.2 months of inventory. You might see a 45% drop cited for condos and single-family homes, but that's a statistical fluke that very few small units are dragging down the average. The valley-wide median price for single-family homes is $675,000. And Desert Hot Springs single-family homes are down only about 3.1%. List price reductions in Desert Hot Springs are down just 1.6% because sellers know they're already the lowest price in the Coachella Valley. Total inventory across the desert is down 8% from last year at 5.4 months of supply, and sales are still running 20% below normal. Mortgage rates eased to 6.57%, but California Fair Plan rates are expected to jump nearly 30% this fall. Now that'll change what a second home actually costs to own every month. That carrying cost reality is a conversation worth having before you write an offer. 5.4 months of supply means nobody is rushing you right now, and that's the first time in a long time that it's been that way. But don't let the next 12 months become another lesson in what 2 to 14% of equity actually feels like. Insurance costs are also jumping nearly 30% this fall. 3 cities are already moving in completely different directions, and the window to negotiate from real strength is closing faster than the rate headlines suggest. The difference between a smart home purchase and a decade of regret isn't the interest rate. It's knowing which specific areas are holding value and which ones are quietly not. Be sure to reach out to me for a free Zoom discovery call so we can help you find the right house and the right neighborhood. We love helping people find the right home to fit their specific situation here in the greater Palm Springs area. Now, watch this next video all about living here in the Palm Springs area.